Welcome to the forest. This is going to be a very different episode. I want to show you something that I just found as a result of a most unfortunate circumstance of a dead pine tree falling onto this lean-to off of my woodshed here and crushing part of the roof. It fell right toward some young chestnuts, one of which I showed you in a video last year, or was it 2 years ago? I can't keep track of the years anymore. I think it was 2 years ago, growing in the gravel here. Luckily, it wasn't tall enough to hit it, but it was falling right toward it. The lean-to here took the brunt of it. So, as I was working here and noticing that this fell in that direction, I went to take a look and I saw something really beautiful that I want to show you right now. While I was over checking on the largest of the little chestnuts to make sure it didn't get hit by the falling tree, I noticed that this little guy had a new leaf already forming, and it's still winter. I'm really excited to see how the growing season is going to be this year for the chestnuts. So, thank goodness, I've got lots of lumber that I made from the red pines that I was able to use to repair the roof. Well, not that it's the metal sheeting. I've got a couple of extra pieces here. I still have yet to fix all of that. But at least the roof isn't going to collapse anymore. See, these rafters completely broke. The metal sheeting was all that held it up. Anyways, as I was preparing to do this job, I had to take care of this elder tree, American elder, that was leaning right on the roof, and thank goodness that it was spared. There's a gigantic red pine right here that sort of cradled that one that was falling and brought it in this direction and protected this. It's not a particularly rare tree, but I just love it, and it's growing in such a beautiful spot here, sheltered. So I had to use this rope that I used to use for the Warhol chestnut tree to help straighten it up, that I'm now using a chain. There you go, it's that time of year. I should head out there and tighten that chain some more, straighten it up some more. Hopefully that American beech is a little stronger now so that I can pull it up a little higher still. But this rope I had retired because it was too old and worn out, but it's still strong enough to hoist this up because it was leaning right against the roof. And you know, this is something I've been meaning to do for years. And so there are so many things that happened as a result of this tree falling here, including that I kind of wanted to work on this roof anyways. Mind you, I would have rather not have had to repair it in this manner, but oh well. But I wasn't even going to make this video, except I was just pruning that American elder, and I wanted to share some of this with you. It inspired me. So let me finish that pruning job and we'll talk a little more. Unfortunately, there was some damage, such as right here, but for the most part, the tree was spared. There is something about pruning that is just so good for the soul. It's just amazing. That feeling of sharing the energy with the tree, with nature itself, which of course is our self. It's such a beautiful feeling, especially now that the sun is high in the sky again giving that precious vitamin D. As I was doing this, and feeling that feeling, taking in that energy, oh my, well, oh, look at that. This branch was injured here. And so it was going to die anyways. So a little sooner than I would have liked. Oh, wow. It's actually broken all the way here. There's a very bad scar here. In fact, there's a little bit of fungus growing right here in the scar. So this whole branch is going to die. This is the way that it goes with the American elder here. It's a little bit on the extreme northern end of its range, so they have a hard time. That's why this is growing here right beside the woodshed here where it's sheltered from the prevailing wind. And you see this branch was just clearing this roof line, so it was getting hit by that wind. That's why there's this branch down here with beautiful, vigorous growth on it. So there are some beautiful buds still up here. So this is still going to be all right for this year. I'm just going to take off that branch that wasn't doing so well anyways. And there's a beautiful bud right there. But I think that come next winter, I will just cut this right here. And so hopefully we'll get a new branch coming here. It'll be fine. But there you go. This is part of the experience, is feeling what the tree feels and trying to do what's best to help it, to do the best it can this year and years into the future. It's such a powerful feeling. It takes one away from the trivialities of our increasingly insane society and the way that they distract people away from actual living. I think that's pretty much all that I will do with this for now. It's looking good, considering it had a very close scrape with death. Looking good. Let me show you something else. Here we are beside the driveway near the house. This is my favorite of the mulberry trees, the big one. And finally, this row of massive red pines is gone that was shading this tree. And now, as you can see, I've pruned it so that it can start to spread in this direction. I'm going to have a wonderful crop of mulberries this year as a result, and they're going to be so much easier to harvest with so much more of the tree accessible down here where I can reach it. Here on the other side of the driveway was another row of red pines, and one of them came down and just grazed this other mulberry tree that I've got going here on the other side of the driveway. This is a slightly different kind of mulberry. I've got 3 different kinds here. And it was injured by that falling pine. And so I want to do a pretty radical operation with this now that I'm going to show you. This is actually something that I did again, maybe a couple years ago, to the mulberry tree down at the edge of the pond, which produces white mulberries that are exceptionally good and sweet. Actually, while I'm holding these other shears in my hand, this is another mulberry that got completely smacked by the falling tree. And so I'm going to hack it right here, which is actually a good level. To do that, so that this is actually what was done to the main mulberry tree on the other side of the driveway. Hack that right around this level, basically waist height, hard cut, and then it'll send out many branches. And then you can prune the tree into whatever shape you want to have maximum fruit accessibility. And so this is going to be the main mulberry tree on this side of the driveway in a few years. But in the meantime, we'll keep this one going because this is already bearing fruit. And then when this one gets big enough, we'll just cut that one down and let this one take over. And it's a little further from the driveway. It's better anyways. So, as you can see, it's leaning toward the driveway because this used to be the edge of the forest, and so it was leaning out toward the sunlight. Now it's got lots of room. And I'm going to use this cottonwood, which we really don't need here. There's tons of huge cottonwoods here, don't worry. So we're going to use this as the anchor, and I'm going to pull that over here and tie it to it. So I'm just going to clean this up a little bit right away, just to make it easier. But I'm going to leave a lot of small branches here for now, because I'm just not sure yet which one or ones I will be using to tie to. So we've got a nice selection to choose from. And now I've got the perfect cord to use in lieu of rope for this. This is coaxial cable for cable TV or networking. It's perfect for this sort of job for several reasons. It has no play at all, which is good. You can establish your length and you know that that will stay. A rope will eventually give a little bit. And the skin on it is really good because it won't damage the tree. It's not abrasive. And so if you were using any kind of braided rope, it's going to damage the bark of the tree, the skin of the tree. But this will not. So this is really good. Now the tree does not want to go in that direction, so I'm going to have to pull pretty hard. Okay, that's good. So here we have this last of the main splits, which will be a good place to tie the cord to. So for now, I'm just going to do a basic knot. And the good news is that, again, using this cable, a simple double knot is all that you need. It will not give. Just make sure that it's tight. Like that. That's not going to give. You know what? Judging by how much I need this to come down, I'm going to have to use the bottom branch here, which unfortunately was broken by the falling of the pine tree onto this. But I think it'll still be strong enough because that's only going to be used to prevent this wire from slipping upward. The tree itself will be bearing the brunt of this. I think this will still be okay. And there are a couple of small branches down here as well that are still intact. They're quite small, but I think all of this will help. Wow, this wire is a lot longer than I thought for this job, but that's fine. So now I'm just going to pull this now. Obviously we don't want the tree to break, but that's a great start. And so we simply have to go around the tree a few times. I think that's good. So next year, I will tighten this some more. Because once the tree gets used to growing in this direction, it won't struggle. It'll actually want to grow in this direction. And so we'll have a very interesting shape. In fact, maybe while I tie this up, I'll put an edit and show you another one that's growing down the driveway that I did a similar trick to. I like making mulberry trees lean in strange directions and have strange shapes. It's fun. And obviously it makes it easier to pick the fruit. And that's what it's really all about when it comes to precious mulberries. This wire is so long that it's actually making it a little bit of a hassle. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie another round. Why not? I don't need these gloves now. And that, as they say, is that. How does it look? Oh, I like it. And so now, as you can see, that bottom of the branch is at the turning point there, quoting the Revenant song. Thanks, George. That'll be the new leader now. And so I think what I will do, just to give it the message, is I'm going to prune these ones off. Not bad. And this one's just a little too much toward the driveway. Good. Very nice. That'll have mulberries this year. One last thing about mulberries and about chestnuts. I put those plastic collars around the chestnut trees not just to protect them from deer. You've heard me talking endlessly about the problem with the deer and the chestnuts, but those collars are not just to protect them from the deer. Arguably, the bigger threat, not only to chestnuts, but to anything else that's sweet in terms of the taste of the bark, like mulberries, is rabbits and other smaller rodents. Let's go to the other side of the house to show you a mulberry tree that we were talking about last year at this time. And of that, I'm sure that it was last year. And look at what happened over the winter. This just happened in the last few weeks when we had this sudden cold snap here with lots of snow very late in the winter. And a hungry rabbit came along and ate all of the skin around this mulberry tree. Not only that one, but also the little tiny mulberry growing just a few feet away, a little over 1 meter away. And that one got stripped too. And when it's stripped all the way around like that, that kills the tree. It's called girdling the tree. No more liquid can get up to the top part of the tree and it dies. But if you cut the bottom just below where it was skinned, if you catch it early enough, and this is just in the nick of time, the tree is not really awake yet, it's starting to, just cut the top off completely and it will grow just like this one right here that I had just cut the top off of right here. The same thing will happen. It'll grow out in all directions. And so it's not too late, but you certainly don't want that to happen to a chestnut tree. It's not going to recover as well as a mulberry. In fact, it probably won't recover at all.